Alright, so if you are watching this video, it is because you have completed the two previous videos on Canvas. So hopefully, looking at the map that is on the screen right now, you can see that this is the goods, resources, and people that were exchanged through the Columbian exchange from the old world on the right side of the screen to the new world on the left side of the screen. Um, and so, this upcoming week, we're going to look at the Columbian exchange through a project activity that we're going to do. And that is what this video is going to cover. I wish I could be there in class today to go over this in person with you, but if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. So, what the project grade that we're going to do over the next week is we're going to have a mock trial. And we're going to put the Columbian exchange on trial. And the trial will be held next week on block day. So there are going to be three roles for this trial, and we're going to spend Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week preparing for the trial so that we can have it on Friday. On each of these days, you will be working through your assigned role to better understand the Columbian exchange, as well as to build the arguments in favor and or against the Columbian exchange. So the three roles we'll have 4 students that will serve as prosecuting attorney. We will have 4 students serve as defense attorneys, and we will have 4 students serve as witnesses on or defendants on the side as the defense attorneys. So essentially, that will be 4 people on one side and 8 people on the other, because all of our witnesses will be on defense. So this is not going to run like a typical trial if you do mock trial, because there's going to be some things I'm going to allow, as well as you would probably have witnesses on the side of the prosecution. But because we only have 12 students, and really the main goal of this is to understand the arguments in favor and the arguments against the Columbian exchange in more depth, we're going to do the mock trial in a little bit different way. But in the end, as long as the story gets told and as long as there are arguments on both sides, that's what's going to be most important. So, before you find out what role you have been assigned or may even have a choice over, let's talk about what the roles entail. So the prosecuting attorney, these are the people that are going to go against the Columbian exchange. They're going to try to say that the Columbian exchange was not a great thing in world history and that there were crimes against humanity. So the prosecuting attorney, they're going to create and ask difficult / hard-hitting questions to the defendants while they're on the witness stand. These prosecuting attorneys, since you will be having several questions to ask, you may use your notes in the trial. Defense attorneys, you're going to partner up with the witnesses. In fact, one defense attorney will partner with one witness, and you will create open-ended, friendly questions so that the defendant can tell their story. You may also use your notes in the trial. Defendants, you are going to partner up with a defense attorney, and you're going to help in creating open-ended questions, but you're going to be on the defense stand, and you're going to tell your story. You are the only people that cannot use your notes in the trial, but don't worry, because you're going to be working all week, next week, with the defense attorney, practicing the questions that they will be asking you and preparing for potential questions that the prosecuting attorney will ask you. Okay? So, the 4 witnesses for the defense will be broken into 4 different categories so that there's not going to be a whole lot of overlap and people repeating similar things. So I'll show you what that looks like in just a few seconds. So in class today, if you are a prosecuting attorney, what I want you to do is I want you to review the content, and at the front of the room I have a reading that will help you review the Columbian exchange and also highlight the category that you will be focusing on. And your goal is to take notes on all the negatives. You're going to try to bring out the not so great parts of the Columbian exchange, and these are going to be what you're going to charge against the defendant. Defense attorneys, you're going to do the exact opposite. You're still going to look at the content, and I want you to take notes on all the positives, okay, in order to help build a defense against the prosecution. And the defendants, I also want you to take notes on the positives so that you can help with your defense attorney to build a defense against the prosecution. So these are how we're going to break things up today. So the first thing I want you to notice is what side you will be on. So because we have witnesses and we have attorneys on one side, they're going to have a larger group. There'll be 8 students total, right? And then for the prosecution, there will only be 4 attorneys. Remember, they have no witnesses on the side of the prosecution. So Audrey, Nate, Cade, and Luke, the 4 of y'all will be my prosecution attorneys. If for any reason after you meet today you do not want to be a prosecution attorney, you would rather be a witness for the defense, please just send me an email or talk with me, and I'm sure there will be somebody on this side who would be interested in being a prosecution attorney. However, if everyone is fine with their role, then you just move forward today with the remaining directions. Now, for the defense, there are 8 students here. I do not mind how you break up who's going to be a defendant for TCE, which is the Columbian Exchange, or who's going to be an attorney for the defense. Now, please note there are 4 categories right here that you will need to be an attorney or a witness for. So even for the side of the prosecution, I will have one prosecution attorney who's going to be cross-examining a defense witness down here. Okay, I will have one defense attorney who will be defending the social witness, and then I will have one social witness. Okay, so on the defense side, if you have two students, one will be working with be an attorney working with a witness who's going to talk about the social benefits of the Columbian Exchange. Okay, well, the same will happen for political, economic, and then cultural, and defining cultural as religion, tradition, and language. Okay, so my top group up here, Audrey, Nate, Cade, and Luke, all you guys need to do today is just determine who is going to take on which role, and then start to read through and make sure that you can start to highlight the negatives of the Columbian Exchange in your given role. So if one of you chooses social, what socially was not great about the Columbian Exchange? And that'll be your homework assignment for the weekend. Over here, y'all will need to do very similarly, but the bottom group, you're also going to need to figure out who's going to be an attorney, who's going to be a witness, and then you will partner up with that person next week, okay? And you will build your side's arguments next week, okay? So again, the goal of this is to get the story out about the Columbian Exchange and to really help y'all build arguments on both sides, so that maybe in the future that will be helpful in essay writing. So by the end of class on Monday, what I'd like for each part to do is to read the full source that I've given you, highlight information, and then by the end of class on Monday, I want both lawyers to create questions for their side, and then I want the defendant to also prepare comments for how they might respond to the prosecution. All right. So today, what you'll probably want to do is get into these 4 students should get into one group. These 8 students should get into another group. If one of y'all can send me an email by the end of class that says who's going to be a witness for social, who's going to be a witness for political, who's going to be a witness for economic and cultural, and then who's going to be the attorney for each one of those, as well as my prosecution, if you could just let me know who's going to do which one of these, that would be awesome. The last thing I'm going to leave you with is just the trial format. We'll have opening statements by the attorneys, direct examination, so the defense attorney will ask their witness on the stand first, then the prosecution will cross-examine. If we have enough time, I might allow the direct to redirect after the cross-examination has taken place from the prosecuting attorney. After all the witnesses have made it to the stand, then we'll do our closing statements. And again, we'll be doing all of that Friday. If This is super confusing to you because you've never done mock trial before. That's okay. All I want you to do today is figure out what social, political, economic, cultural part of the Columbian Exchange you're going to highlight, and then either look for the good components if you're down here, or the not good components of the Columbian Exchange if you're up here. All right, so this might be a good screen to pause on and get together with your group.